Welcome to another edition of the ZTV Sports Report, your home for everything Akron Zips athletics. I'm your host, Cameron Justice.
And I'm Zach Fuller.
Zach, this is our first time hosting together, so you know what? I'll let you pick what team we start off with.
How about the Cleveland Indians?
Too soon.
How about the U.S. men's national soccer team?
You know what, Zach? How about we just start off with the women's soccer team? The team would travel to Michigan for their 2 games against Central Michigan on September 29th and then Eastern Michigan on October the 1st.
The Zips would tie their first game in Michigan, 1-1 the final score. Akron will be trailing in the game following a Central Michigan goal scored by Alexi Palafus' header in the 8th minute of the game. The Zips remained persistent throughout the game, however, trying to strategize in order to get back in. This moment would come in the 85th minute when Akron's Ashley Amato linked up with an Erica Schrader corner kick and found the back of the net. The game would end 1-1. Amani Zhu would have 6 saves on the night, including 3 big saves in overtime to close out the match.
The ladies would then head east for their game against Eastern Michigan. The Zips jumped out to an early 1-0 lead in the first half of the match and outshot the Eagles thanks to an aggressive offensive mindset. The goal would come from Erica Schrader, who would force a turnover and pass it off to Allie Brown, who would slide the ball into the back of the net in the 28th minute of the game. 3 minutes into the second half, the Eagles tied up the contest at 1 with a goal from Kristen Nason. The game-deciding moment would come in the 83rd minute when Akron gave away a penalty kick, which would lead to an Eastern Michigan victory, 2-1.
The Zips would come back to Ohio on October 5th for their rivalry game against the reigning Mid-American Conference champions, Kent State. Ashley Amato led the team's offense, who registered a team-high 4 shots. While 2 of them fell on frame, Amato was followed by her teammate Allie Brown, who registered 3 shots, and Sydney Shapani, who notched a pair of shots. With all that firepower, Akron would fail to find the back of the net, losing 3-0 to Kent. They would then go on to fall to the Ohio University Bobcats 5-0 at home for their Kick for the Cure game. Here's head coach Noreen Herlihy's thoughts following the loss.
Obviously, we're bitterly disappointed with the result. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The score doesn't lie, but I genuinely don't think the score reflected the game itself. You know, we gave away 3 goals and 3 set pieces, and that's going to kill any team off. You know. So, but I have to say, we came out in the second half, changed it up a bit. We went at them, and there was phases of that game and large periods of that game where we were. You know, getting forward, and we went for it down the stretch, and then, you know, because we went for it, we knew we were going to maybe take risks at the back, and that's what happened. And it's just, you know, again, it comes back to the inconsistencies, but, you know, they're young, hopefully they'll learn, but it's definitely not the result we wanted, to be truthful.
The team wouldn't find any luck for their game on Friday the 13th this month against Toledo. Their record on the season would fall to 1-12-2.
Moving on over to the football team, the team traveled to Bowling Green on September 30th, registering a big Mid-America Conference victory, 24-23. The win would, however, see star running back Warren Ball be ruled out for the season following a broken ankle during the game. And later in the week, safety Zach Geiser would announce that he would be stepping away from football following his head injury during the Iowa State game. Coach Terry Bowden talked to the press before their game against Ball State.
Well, yes, we're looking forward to it, getting back home, homecoming. A lot of our alumni and former lettermen coming back. And so it's always a great day for the university, homecoming, for a lot of reasons. And I've often said that one of the main reasons football exists at major universities is so alumni can be asked to come back to the school to see the buildings that they're asked to pay for and the things they're asked to do, and they get to come back and be a part of their university. And football games are a great way to do that. And so it's a homecoming for a lot of folks, and we'll have a lot of great things going on that day. Most importantly, it's another MAC game, our second MAC Mid-American Conference game, and they're all big, so it's another big one. They're all big because they mean so much in the Mid-American Conference to fight for your division. So Ball State, I think, is a very good football team. They are 2-3 like us. They played tough. They lost to some very, very good football teams, and just like us. And they come in knowing that this is an important game for both of us as we try to get stay in the hunt for the Mid-American Conference championship game, division title, and as we try to put ourselves in a bowl situation. So we take them one game at a time. This one is Ball State, and we're excited to play the game, but they have a very, very good football team.
On Saturday, October 7th, the Akron Zips football team faced off against the Ball State Cardinals of Muncie, Indiana in their second MAC East game of the season, led by head coach Terry Bowden. With dominating defense throughout the entirety of the game, the Zips were able to hold the Cardinals to only 3 points throughout all 4 quarters. This defense was complemented by Akron's offensive unit, allowing them to score in the double digits. This game was Akron's homecoming game, which featured the members of the student body nominated for homecoming court. The victory leaves the Zips 2-0 and undefeated in the MAC East, while their overall record stands at 3-3. The Zips' first touchdown was obtained quickly within the first few minutes of the first quarter through a completed pass to number 2, Austin Wolf. This was followed up by a successful 1-point conversion. Throughout the game, the Zips showed tough defense against the Cardinals, including 5 sacks, limiting their field advancement. The largest sack was executed by Ulysses Gilbert III with a loss of 8 yards. During an attempt to move down the field, number 31, Jamal Baggett, zeroed in on the receiver, making direct contact for the stop. Linebacker Andrew Hauser secured his first career interception in this game, and with 3 total interceptions, the Zips defense was able to turn the action around in their favor. This defensive action was matched by the Zips offense, which achieved 249 passing yards and 134 rushing yards, allowing them to put 31 points on the board throughout the duration of the game. Quarterback Thomas Woodson is responsible for most of the team's successful field advancements with 18 completed passes. Deltron Sands racked up 53 rushing yards by effortlessly dodging the Cardinals' defensive attempts. Senior captain number 11 A.J. Coney led the team's passing yards by securing 6 passes delivered by Woodson throughout the game. His overall yardage was close to triple digits, with 90 total yards, his longest being a 30-yard pass. Throughout the game, each team took frequent timeouts in order to regroup and strategize their next move on the field. Both players and coaching staff showed a rapt attention and focus, displaying their dedication to a successful game. Head coach Terry Bowden led by example in the huddle, directly speaking with key players in order to secure the lead and the win. The most important defensive run of the game was executed during an offensive attack by the Cardinals during the second quarter of the game on a drive that brought the ball to Akron's 5th-yard line. Overall, Ball State had 3 different chances to score, but each were shot down by the Zips. On the second and goal attempt, the Cardinals were stopped just 1 yard short of scoring on a stop by the entire defensive line. Their third opportunity was thwarted as number 9, Jamal Davis, waved them off as if to say, "Not today, Ball State." This brought the Cardinals to a 4th and goal situation. As the teams lined up in their positions, the Zips turned towards the crowd, hyping them up in anticipation of the stop. The crowd eagerly showed their support in return. After a hard pushback by the Zips, the team expresses their pride, quickly running back to the sideline, eager to celebrate with the rest of the team. On the offensive return, the Zips were able to run in a touchdown, bringing the score to 14-3 in favor of the Zips during the second quarter. This run was made by Deltron Sands. At the half, the Zips were up 14-3 as the team came off the field in order to focus on their efforts on how to maintain their lead in the second half. Linebacker John Lake overturned an interception for a 35-yard touchdown, which in addition to other scores off camera, brought the score to 31-3 in favor of the Zips. The off-camera scoring included a field goal by junior PK Tom O'Leary and a touchdown by Quadarius Smith. The final offensive moves of the game for the Cardinals were destroyed with back-to-back sacks by the Zips defense. Akron begins a 2-game road trip, including a matchup against Western Michigan on October 14th, who is also undefeated in the MAC East, along with Toledo the following Saturday, October 21st, before bringing the action back to Infocision Stadium on Saturday, October 28th against Buffalo.
The football team hits the road for their 2 games against Western Michigan and Toledo and will return home on October 28th for their game against Buffalo.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at the men's soccer team.
You're watching ZTV.
Welcome back to the ZTV Sports Report. The men's soccer team have been fighting for their spot in the top 25 teams in the national polls.
The team won 3 of their last 4 matches against St. Mary's from California 2-1, Syracuse 1-0, and had a slight hiccup against Western Michigan, losing 1-0.
TopDrawerSoccer.com has Akron ranked as 12th in the nation through the week of October 9th and October 15th, and the official NCAA rankings has them at 25th.
The Zips would go on to play SIU and Notre Dame, and lucky for you, we have the highlights.
On Friday, October 13th, the University of Akron men's soccer team would welcome the SIU Edwardsville Cougars to the Cup Cadet Field. The Zips' victory over Cleveland State earlier in the week would see them keep their 25th place ranking in the NCAA men's soccer national polls. The game would mark the 15th time in program history that these two teams crossed. CIU would enter the game with a record of 6-7 on the season. Akron would jump to an early lead in the game when Joe Cope would cross the ball in from the right side of the field to be intercepted by an SIU defender, but quickly snatched back from Sky Harder, who would fake out his defender with a step over and lay it up to Marcel Zions, who would slot it home for the first goal of the game. Using the goal as momentum, Akron would continue to maintain control over the game in the first half, attacking it to the Cougars' final third whenever they had possession of the ball. Akron number 2's Moutinho's free kick would nearly find its way to the goal but be denied by the post. In the 24th minute, Stuart Holtzen would pick out Harder in front of the goal, but Harder would send the ball flying into orbit with a big miss on goal. Akron's defense wouldn't see that much action in the first half, not until the 31st minute, when CIU would drive down the right side of the field into Akron's final third with the ball, take a shot on goal, but only make contact with the side netting of the goal. The half would end with Akron holding their lead 1-0. Akron would take 9 shots within the first half of play. The second half would see Nico Davila pick up a knock after going up for a 50-50 ball. Nico would be alright, but would be subbed off to ensure his health. Later, Moutinho would pick up a yellow card, giving a little love tap to an SIU player. Akron would begin to let the pressure off SIU, with less looks at goal. This would result in an off-camera SIU goal in the 60th minute of the match, thanks to a lazy back pass from Moutinho. Moutinho would redeem himself, however. In the 67th minute, Harder would send the ball in from a corner kick. The ball would be deflected straight into the air. Moutinho would charge in with a header and nail it right into the goal. But Moutinho wasn't done there. Akron again would find success off a corner kick in the 63rd minute. Harder would send the ball into the penalty area, who would connect with Paul Bellata, who would take a poor shot on goal, but would find Moutinho, who would redirect the ball into the SIU net. Akron would see out their 2-goal lead to the final blow of the whistle, ending the game. Akron 3, SIU 1. The win would see the Zips record increase to 8-3-1 on the season. Here's head coach Jared Embrick and goal scorer Jose Moutinho. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, very nice performance. I thought we were excellent. We came out and played really well first 20 minutes and got the goal. Could have had a couple other chances to extend the lead, and it was unfortunate to goal to tie the game. But I thought our response was terrific and finished the game strong. And that was a really nice win against a good opponent.
Yeah, I think we did a great game overall. We all did very well. I made an unfortunate mistake, but I was able to come back with 2 goals, and I'm very happy for that. But the whole team did very well, and that's what I'd like to really make a point, is that everyone was running towards 1 goal, and when that happens, then things just get easier for you.
On October 17th, the University of Akron men's soccer team, who ranked 13th in the national polls, will put up against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. The game will mark the 14th time these two teams have crossed paths. The Irish came into the game ranked 8th in the nation. Notable wins for Notre Dame on the season would be against number 5 Clemson, number 10 Virginia, and number 24 Michigan. For the Zips, Notre Dame would mark the 7th team that Akron played who were ranked in the top 25 teams in the nation. The game would be a tight contest from the first kick of the whistle, with both teams trying to make an early mark on the game. Tor Saunders would be put to work early in the first minute of the game when Notre Dame Thomas Elam would take a shot on goal. Akron's Zena Kazne would nearly create the first goal of the game when he passed the ball off to Sky Harder from the goal, but couldn't capitalize on the chance. Later in the 35th minute of the match, Kaze would receive the ball from Nate Saltz, but would be fouled in front of the goal, resulting in a penalty kick for Akron. Sam Gainford would step up to the spot and slide into the goal to take the lead for Akron. The goal would be Gainford's 5th goal of the season, beating his tally from last year. Akron would hold their 1-0 lead until the final whistle of the first half. Akron would head into the break with 5 shots on goal, and keeper Saunders would only have to make 2 saves in the first half. The second half would be a completely different story, however. The Irish began the second half with only one thing on their mind: getting back into the game. But thanks to the leadership from the back line from Nico DeValier and Daniel Strawn, Akron would repel any attack that the Irish threw at them. Towards the end of the second half, it would be all Akron creating chances. In the 77th minute, Gainford would attempt a give and go with Stuart Holtzen. The pass would be blocked by a defender, take a shot on goal, beat the keeper, but unfortunately beat the post as well. Holtzen would have another chance on a breakaway, 1v1 at goal, but be denied by Notre Dame's keeper, along with being denied by the ref while appealing for a foul. He would be a little shaken up after the collision, but he would continue on throughout the match. The game-deciding moment would come with 12 minutes left, when Nico would connect a pass to Holtzen, charge into the penalty area, but be taken down from behind. The ref would deem it a foul within the penalty area, resulting in a penalty kick. Again, Sam Gainford would step up to the spot with a chance to put away the game. Nick Hines would score in the follow-up to secure Akron's win over the Fighting Irish 2-0. The result would increase Akron to a 3-game win streak, along with increasing their overall record to 9-3-1 on the season. Here's head coach Jared Embrick, along with players, with their thoughts on the game.
Yeah, big win, one we needed. I thought we were very good on the day, and Notre Dame I thought was pretty good. I thought it was a well-played match, and we had to weather a storm there at the beginning of the second half and end of first, and I thought once we got through those moments and got control of the game, it was looking more like we would get the second, which is what happened. But couldn't be happier with the performance. We played very well and showed a lot of desire out there and determination to get the big victory. Yeah, I think that big goal kind of allowed us a chance to kind of get in a mode where we like, with the lead, being able to control games. We did a real good job. Notre Dame gave us a good push after we scored, and we kind of, fought through that point of the game, and I think that's big because when you get in the tournament, you're going to have teams that will be fighting to get back in games, and you got to take a good punch every now and then. I thought we did that, and again, I thought the second half, especially in the end, we got control and really saw the game out well.
You're watching ZTV.
Welcome back to the ZTV Sports Report. Hey Cammie, have you heard the university's plans to bring back men's baseball and add women's lacrosse?
You know what, I have, and I cannot wait for the baseball team to come back, and I'm totally digging the girl power in women's lacrosse coming to campus.
But do you know when they're expected to come back and how the university affords to pay for all these?
I don't, not really.
Well, lucky for you, we have an exclusive interview with Athletic Director Larry Williams, who shares the university's goals and objectives about the addition of both teams in great detail.
Well, let's take a look.
In July of 2015, the University of Akron made the decision to cut their baseball program as a means of an overall budget reduction. The cutting of the baseball program caught many people in the Akron community by surprise. But last September, University President Matthew Wilson, along with Athletic Director Larry Williams, announced that the university plans to bring back the baseball team, along with the addition of women's lacrosse. We had the chance to sit down with Athletic Director Larry Williams and talk about the reason why the university planned to bring back the baseball team, along with adding women's lacrosse.
Yeah, prior to my arrival, the institution, University of Akron, made a decision to cut baseball, and it really did affect the community deeply. It was a financial decision. It wasn't a performance decision, but it still was very difficult for the community to embrace. We, over the course of the last 2 years, my entire tenure here, really did feel that on a almost daily basis, if not daily, at least weekly, we would hear a consistent refrain, "Oh, why did you drop baseball? Why couldn't you figure out a way to keep it?" And I really didn't have a response. But we've been working behind the scenes for quite some time now, trying to understand how we might be able to do it in a very fiscally responsible way. President Wilson and I and others, including some members of the administration and board, have really spent a lot of time considering different aspects of sponsoring a program: costs, potential revenues, recognition of other values. And it was through the course of that, I'll call it due diligence, it was very clear that it makes a lot of sense to sponsor sports in this manner. And one only needs to look at Division II or Division III to recognize that, wow, wait a minute, the sports are really an enhancement to the university's bottom line, even though those particular benefits may not accrue to the athletics budget. They still accrue to the overall budget of the institution, and Division II and Division III have made a living on that very concept. Well, women's lacrosse is an interesting one because if you're in the sports world, you know that everyone talks about the growth of the game of lacrosse, especially on the female side. And so, number one, we heard that message from folks within the sporting world. We also heard it from potential parents that say, "Wow, if you ever sponsored women's lacrosse, boy, we'd love to be considered, because we have our daughter is growing up through the club system and the high school system, and we'd love for her to play at University of Akron or consider the University of Akron." And so, ears perk up when we hear those kind of things. But then we also considered it in light of the fact that we have a beautiful stadium in Infocision Stadium that is used largely in the fall and very lightly in the spring. And so this gives us an opportunity to put that facility to further use in months that it otherwise was not used. And so it fit. A lot of things fit about women's lacrosse.
Director William goes on to add that the funding of the two teams will come from the community.
Well, yeah, now that's certainly our hope, is that the community will participate in the funding. The university will incur a lot of responsibility relative to the funding of these programs. The participation of the community is really going to dictate how successful we are. We know we're going to be successful. We're going to graduate, educate and graduate really good student athletes, and we will be that much better if we can get the participation of our community, that community that's spoken so loudly at the loss of baseball and are so excited about the re-engagement of the baseball program. We look forward to participation of any kind at any level.
That's going to conclude this episode of the ZTV Sports Report. But before we go, make sure to check us out on Facebook, hit the follow button on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at ZTV Sports.
Thank you for watching the ZTV Sports Report, your home for everything Akron Zips athletics.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. To find out how you can make Emmy-winning media, visit the UA School of Communication online. ZTV. Make media. Make a difference.